Fresh TV. So much entertainment. 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 Fresh TV. So much entertainment.
Hi everyone, hope everyone's well.
Hola.
Joined here by our manager Mikel Arteta. We'll take questions in English first. So if you have a question, raise your hand, and then start with English, and then we'll go to our Spanish colleagues after. So if we can kick off in English first, we'll go to Alex from the BBC.
Thank you.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
Could we just start with team news, please? Is there any updates for us?
The positive one, Ben White, is today, so he will be in the squad.
Thomas Partey, is he fit enough to be involved? And what about Jorginho as well?
Yeah, he's available. He had a little niggle during the game, that's why he had to come off. But he felt good after the last few days, so he's fine. And Georgie, unfortunately, is not here. After the incident of the weekend, he hasn't recovered. So, yeah, our thoughts are with him.
How would you approach this game? Do you ignore the fact that you're 3-0 in the lead, or do you take that into account?
To win it, the same that we did in London, our preparation has been the things that we have to do, the things that we have to dominate throughout the game in different phases to give us the best possible chance to win the game. That's clear, our mindsets, and that we're going to play tomorrow.
And finally, there's been lots of talk about comebacks and the noise in the stadium tomorrow night. How would you make sure that your players don't get wrapped up in the emotion?
I understand that is part of their history, and they have the right to be talking about these kind of scenarios. Ours is very different, and our mindset, preparation, our thoughts, and how we're going to have the best chance to be better than them in the aspects that are crucial in the game, because we're going to try to take the game to places very different to our intentions, and if we do that, we're going to have a good chance to win the game.
Dalmesh from Sky Sports.
Hi there, Mikel.
Hi.
We spoke to Jude Bellingham earlier. He says that the word that is buzzing around the Madrid camp is comeback or remontada. What's the key attribute that your team has to show in this game, do you feel?
The same mindset. The mindset to win, to be brave, to be dominant, to be determined, and to have the conviction that we can be better than them and win the game.
Last one from me. Creating your own history has been a real theme from you and your players. Has that been the constant message that you've been sending them through this week?
But for sure. And without when you have to create a story, when you have to build a story, first of all, you have to be excited about it. They have to be really prepared about it. And then you have to be really convinced about what you want to achieve. And then it's about insisting and go step by step. And a lot of clubs have built a history by doing it many times, trying many times, sometimes failing, sometimes being successful. And last year we had an experience, and with that one we want to be better this season and apply that to be in the semi-finals, which it will be only our third time in the history of our football club.
John from the Mirror in the UK.
Hello, Mikel. When we saw Carlo Ancelotti earlier, he talked about his players needing heart and balls for tomorrow night. I just wonder, from what you've seen this season, can your players match and better that in both departments tomorrow night?
Yes, there are three main aspects in the game. It's the physical aspect, the technical and tactical aspect, and the emotional aspect. And that emotional aspect is very significant because I have a lot of reassurance for what the team has done all season, in positive context and in very difficult context, which I think it's probably the pathway and why those things happened. So to prepare us to scenarios like this and to be convinced that we can handle any situation and we're going to enjoy actually playing any kind of game that we have to be thrown tomorrow.
Mikel, Independent.
Hi, Mikel. Have you done anything different to prepare this week, even psychologically? Because obviously it's quite a strange situation. You're 3-0 up, yet the Madrid kind of noise is trying to make you believe that you should doubt in some way.
Yeah, hopefully every game we do it differently. If not, it will be very boring for 70 games, prepare the same plan and the same scenario for the players. So it's a different context, as I said, to the first leg. That's in the past. We take learnings from it, some very good, some others that we have to do still better than we did in London. And then have the capacity to have the intention to take the game where we want and have very able to adapt quickly to any other kind of a scenario to take the game where we want again.
Ian, BBC Radio 5 Live.
Hello, Mikel.
Hi.
Two questions in one, if I may.
Yeah.
How do you block out that external noise? Because the narrative here in Spain is if
impossible. Outside, no, we can do it on the pitch. Now, I understand that is a narrative that that is going to give the fuel to them.
But also, my other point was, it's over 100 games since you lost by a 3-goal margin. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about that resilience that you've found in the last couple of years? And what was your message be to the team in the dressing room before you leave for the field?
That we have to do it again. I think it's over 472 days or something like this. But it doesn't matter. We have to prove it now in this context. And that's the beauty of it. That's the challenge. And that's the great thing about sports. And that we've shown that we are capable of doing it. That has to give us reassurance and confidence that we can do it. And now let's talk on the pitch and do it on the pitch. It's the only thing that matters.
Okay, over here to Tom from Football London.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
There's been a lot of talk here in Spain, particularly about the word fear and suggesting that Arsenal are fearful of the Real Madrid comeback. Have you seen anything in your players that suggests you've seen any fear in your team this week?
No, I wouldn't use that word. I mean, I think respect, admiration for what they've done in the competition as a club over the years, the history that they have, the values that they defend. Unbelievable, amazing, an inspiration for any coach, any manager, any team. But after that is the competition, is what we are going to face tomorrow, an opposition that we know very well and that we are determined to go out there and try to win the game.
And obviously all the talk and all the videos that people watched over and over again was around Declan Rice's free kicks. Has he been practicing more this week?
Yes, he has, and if he can create any more of those moments, that will be amazing. It was a great moment. I think the third goal as well was beautiful to watch, a very collective goal. And when you go to that stage, you're going to have big team moments, big individual moments, and that's time to do it on the pitch.
Phil, PA?
Hi, Mikel. You said obviously if Arsenal get through, it's only the third semi-final. If you get it over the line, do you think that's the greatest achievement of your career? And do you sense any nerves at all within this squad ahead of tomorrow's game?
I think it's excitement. I think when we talk about creating that, look how small the history is. We never won the competition, and we are trying to do something now consistently where we can start to dominate the European competition. We have to earn the right tomorrow to do that. In these big stages, it doesn't get any better than this, and I think it's a great opportunity for the team to do it.
Okay, we'll get to as many people as possible, but the last two in English now. Firstly, Jordan from The Sun behind you there.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
You say about it's impossible to block out the noise and the narrative before the game starts. Is there any danger that when the players walk onto the pitch, it's going to be in their minds that they can do this, they have done this before? What if we're the next team to suffer?
We have tried to repeat the opposite message. So in the brain of the players, what they have here in the last 72 hours is something completely different. And we are very close to them. And hopefully that's more powerful than anything else. But again, you have to be out there, you have to experience it, you have to feel it, and you have to go through it. And that's what we have to do tomorrow.
Okay, finally one in English for Isan from the Daily Mail.
Hi, Mikel. With obviously Declan Rice's two free kick goals just the other week, has that kind of whetted the appetite for more from him from an attacking sense? And in terms of midfielders in England, how high would you rank him up there after his performances this season and last season too?
Yeah, again, I think he's creating the story with us, and that moment is going to be in our history for a while, especially the way he did it, the manner he did it, and doing it twice, which is very, very rare. So it's about creating more, and now I think he's going to have the belief that he's capable of delivering those kind of moments more and more, and that's something very important, because if he believes more, it's going to happen more often.
Okay, that's done in English. We'll now go to our colleagues in Spain. Firstly, from Juan Castro.
Mikel, buenas tardes, Juan. Hi, Mikel. Juan Castro from Marca. Welcome to Spain. So it has been said a lot about the atmosphere in Bernabeu, but as you've said, more than 72 games, 79 games without being scored more than 3 goals. And maybe all this information tells you something for tomorrow's game, right? This what makes me be sure that the team is ready. And we've proven that in different contexts. Again, there are different rivals and opponents, but in the end, we'll have to prove that tomorrow. And there's the beautiful thing of this sport. What you did yesterday doesn't matter. The team is convinced, the team is confident, and tomorrow we'll do our best so that the Real Madrid arguments are minimized, and our arguments are the most frequent and strong ones in the game. Hello, Mikel and Tom Meana from Cadena Ser. We're asking about comebacks. I know even some colleagues from England have talked about this narrative, this all these stories. I don't know that. Well, if a coach, you can speak about what has happened during this seasons here. Great clubs, Bayern City, PSG, living this narrative aside, maybe from a football point of view, could you think about this? Could you think about the fact that Real Madrid plays very long games? It doesn't matter if you're winning a game. Do you work in that as a coach during our playoff? Of course we do. In the end, that's part of the analysis. You need to understand why things have happened, and there are things that are in your hand, there are things that are not, and of course the quality you have to create that chaos and that moment. For example, the level of uncertainty is sometimes very high. So how can we prevent that? We need to try to train it and not to happen. Hi, Mikel. Lola Hernandez from Fox Sport Mexico. So with 3-0, have we prepared penalty kicks or you rule it out? We prepare penalty kicks every week. If you have to prepare them just for another playoff as during another stage, I think that we wouldn't be doing a good job. Hello, Mikel. Diego Plaza, El Chiringuito. So a few years ago in 2021, if I'm not mistaken, when you were going to go to Anfield, you were training with a
Good evening. We're going to begin now the conference. Please remember, we're going to do one question per intervention, and you have to identify with the company that you represent and your name. Vamos a comenzar la rueda de prensa. Bienvenido.
We're going to get started with the press conference. Remember, one question per intervention, and before that, you have to say your name and your company, okay?
Hola, Jude.
Hello, Jude. Victorio Calero live for Real Madrid television. During these 2 seasons that you've been in Real Madrid, you've lived great nights, great comebacks in Santiago Bernabeu Stadium. According to everything you've lived, how important are supporters for tomorrow? Thank you.
Everyone, yeah, really important. I think they're huge in creating an atmosphere and an energy inside the stadium that's infectious, and the players really thrive off that. They can almost sense that when the crowd are up for it, it's an even bigger game and it means more to them. So it brings a better level from us. You know, I don't have to ask the Madridistas to do anything that they haven't done for us already. They perform and they deliver on these nights every single time. And now it's about us matching their desire to win, their energy, and producing a performance that they can be proud of.
Hola, Jude. Aquí.
Hi, Jude. Here, Abraham Romero of El Mundo. I'd like to ask you about the most repeated word in the changing room during these days.
Honestly, I've heard it about 1 million times since last week. I've seen 1 million videos online and made by fans, made by kind of you guys, I suppose, and yeah, really motivating stuff. It's a night that's made for Real Madrid, a night that would go down in history, but also be something that people are familiar with around this part of the world. So yeah, hopefully we can add another special night.
Jude, aquí, Hi, Jude. Jose Aguado for La Razón. So you're very young, but I would like to know if you know these stories about the 80s and the magic comebacks in Bernabeu.
Emilio was talking about one against Anderlecht, I think, where they won like 6-1 in the second leg or something like that. And I've seen the clips not long ago on TikTok. So yeah, that's my source of education these days. So no, yeah, I've seen a couple of those, and obviously the ones in more recent times. So yeah, it's something that you want to be a part of. It's something that you know, you want to add to the history of this club. There's not a lot you can do for Real Madrid in the Champions League that hasn't already been done, and tomorrow is an opportunity for us to do something that hasn't been done for the first time, and that's really important to us.
Hello, Jude. Juanma Sanchez for Radio Nacional. So this year, during some games, you've been arguing a little bit. For example, you with Vinicius at some games. Well, it's normal with the great tension that you have because of some results. I don't know if maybe the team is as together as last year, that you were much better. You only lost 2 games. And mentally speaking, you are strong enough in order to get the comeback tomorrow.
I think the first thing you mentioned, it's football. It's very normal that on the pitch, there's so much at stake that emotions get a bit high, and you communicate with your teammates louder than you would communicate with your mum or your dad or your wife or something like that. So, we have a very different relationship with your teammates. There has to be that level of honesty, that level of ruthlessness with each other. You guys highlight that more than anything. I think for every one of those you see, there's probably 20 of the positive interactions, and I think that's obviously will get lost in the whole media world of it, which is fine, as long as the team respect each other enough to have those honest conversations. That's really important. And as far as being mentally strong enough, we believe so. I think you can't come into a game like this thinking there's going to be anything other than a comeback. That's the way we're thinking about the game. We're ready, we're excited, and we're looking forward to it.
Hey Jude, Tatiana Mantovani, TNT Sports Brasil. En esa temporada no habéis...
During this season, you haven't had as good games as the one that you have to play tomorrow in order to come back. So in the pitch, what do we have to see of Real Madrid so that this comeback is possible? Thank you.
Well, a lot better than we saw in the first leg, that's for sure. A higher commitment, a better understanding of what the game requires, more clean with the ball, better on transition. There's a multitude of things, and I think there probably wasn't one aspect of our game that was up to the standard that we expect from ourselves. And we're not afraid to say something like that. It's very normal that when you lose a game, you review the game honestly. We know we can play a lot better. We know we can do a lot of things a lot better, and that's what we want to show tomorrow. It's one thing to lose, but it's another thing to not learn, and that's something that we'll have had done for tomorrow.
Hi Jude, Alex Howell, BBC. What's it like being part of a team where people near enough expect these comebacks from you?
Yeah, I think it's. I did say that to someone the other day, where it's a weird environment at the minute. The last few days, it's like one of the worst results we could possibly imagine away, and for some reason everyone thinks it's nailed on that we'll come back, and it's a nice feeling, I have to say. It means there's a lot of trust in the talent. It means that you're at a club that's unlike no other, the best in the world. That's what it represents and signifies to me. So there's a pressure that comes along with that for sure, and we'll want to deliver on what everyone thinks, that we can come back, and that's obviously the goal for us. But there is a pressure about it, and that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Hi Jude, Joel for Marca newspaper. So it's quite usual that after Real Madrid losing some games, the data are analyzed, and after the last game against Arsenal, data said that you run 14 kilometers less than your rival. But the truth is that this thing happened last season too, and you end up by winning the Champions League. So do you speak about this in the changing room, and how important it is to run more than your rival tomorrow?
Give yourself a better chance if you run more, you match the running stats of the other team. I think 14 kilometres, you said there, that's the equivalent to what, one player and a bit more. So I think if you think about it logically, of course it makes an impact on the game. It means that you can't get out to certain areas quick enough, and etc. I probably don't have to explain that. But like I said, last year was similar, where we didn't always run the most, but we were in an organised position. So there is an element of knowing where to run and what spaces to cover, and that doesn't kind of involve running around like a headless chicken. So it's about finding the balance between running a lot and knowing where to run. There's probably a mix of both that we didn't do well at the Emirates. So yeah, tomorrow I'm sure there'll be everyone willing to run much more than we did last week, and hopefully we have a better plan in doing that as well.
Could I do?
Hey Jude, Marcos Benito for El Chiringuito. In the last days, we're seeing, especially in some media, some players in England that are saying that they're starting to be a little bit afraid, or they're respecting that possible comeback. So are you getting this information?
Afraid, or that they're afraid, sorry? The England's afraid?
The Englands are afraid. Yeah, the English ones are afraid in England, yeah.
Sorry, translate, it was a bit quiet, I don't know how to turn it up. I think like the previous question, there's an expectation from Real Madrid that when we get into these kind of holes that we can come back, even if it's a really, really tough one and a really difficult one. I think probably in England it's not as common, although it has happened as well. I think Liverpool did it a couple of years back before they got to the final or something like that, or they won it. So it's just because the club have done it so many times, and that's what's so impressive about the size of this club. And the expectations are obviously huge.
Hi Jude, Ivan Martin for OK Diario. So supporters started to believe maybe last Wednesday after you lost the game. I would like to ask you, when did you start to believe in this comeback?
After the game, it's normally really tough. You have the kind of few moments after you've got to do the press, you're sitting around on your own where you do think that it's going to be difficult, it's going to be tough. And then the more you get speaking to the other lads and you see how confident they are, the more it kind of rubs off on you. The lads that have experienced these kind of nights before, it rubs off. Like I said before, it's infectious, and it makes you a lot more confident, a lot more comfortable with the situation you're in, about the people you're going into the situation you in. For us, it was pretty much immediate. By the time we was back on the coach, we was all not in good spirits, obviously, but realised that we could still be in the competition.
Mesh from Sky Sports. You've said after that game that the tie's not over, and you've kind of answered it a little bit there, but what gives you that real belief that this comeback is on? And a second part of that question, did Arsenal surprise you guys last week?
I think what makes us confident is the quality we have, the history of the club, the fans that will turn up and give everything on the night, the aura of the Bernabeu in these Champions League nights. That's always something. I think we still felt like, even though we played probably as bad as we possibly could in a game like that, we still had chances, weirdly, and still had moments where we felt like we could have capitalised a bit more. And normally when you have your worst games, you feel like you're absolutely miles off it and there's no way you can get in the game. And still we had a few chances where it felt like maybe if we just increased our level and was a bit more attentive to a few things that they did really well, we can be in it. I think we're not stupid, but also we're confident in the ability we have. And the second part was about, what was that, sorry? Oh yeah, not really. No, we know the quality they had. I think the free kicks were surprising. I've not seen Dec do that before, to be fair. I knew he could take set pieces really well, the corners and stuff, but I'd never seen him do that with the free kicks. So fair play to him. That was probably the only thing, though, really. We knew they're a really good team. We knew that they have a really good manager. They're going to be organised. And there was a lot of things that were really impressive for them, but nothing that we didn't expect. They're a top-level team.
Últimas dos preguntas, last two questions.
Last two questions. Hello. Here on your right, David Alvarez, or El País. So, if we leave aside history and the comebacks, the feelings, etc., and going back to football, with the games that you've played during this year, with the way of playing that you've had during this year, do you think that you have enough in order to win this playoff, or maybe there's something else that you have not been able to show and that is about to emerge, and maybe it would be necessary? And what would that be? Thank you.
Obviously, like you said, we've had games where we've been a bit underwhelming and still found ways to win. There's positive aspects that you can take from that. I mean, we beat City 3-1 at home, beat them away from home as well. I think like I said before, the kind of negative things and the games where we're not as good are always going to take a bit more of the spotlight and the attention. Whereas when we win, it's always, well, they're expected to do that. So why is that a big deal? Why is that's not a big story? And I do understand and I agree. But like I said, we've definitely shown moments in some games this year that we can be capable of doing something special, regardless of the underwhelming moments. And, I've got to sit here and be confident in the team, the changing room I've got down there. And that's got nothing to do with history. That's to do with the lads that I see every single day, working hard every single day, showing the right face every single day, regardless of the adversity we faced last week in London. So that's why I'm confident. Not so much history. History is one thing also, but that's what I see every day, and I know that we can do it.
Última pregunta, last question.
Last question. Hi Jude, Miguel Ángel Toribio, live for Radio Marca. So last time you won by 2 goals, it was last 23rd of February. People that think, how are they going to win by 3 or by 4 goals if you've been for a couple of months just winning by 1 when you win? So what would you tell these people?
I think we've played some games this year, like I said, we've been underwhelming in some games, but we found ways to win. You're saying that we've only won by 1 goal, but that's probably what was required on that night, on that given day, in that given stadium, against that given opposition. That was what was required, and obviously we're required to score goals tomorrow, and we've got to try and live up to that and expect that kind of that level from ourselves. But, worrying about if we've scored more than 1 goal in the last few months and can we do it again, that's not a concern of mine. These nights are different, and hopefully we can show that tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Fresh TV. So much entertainment. Fresh TV. So much.